Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Blackbird PLC investor presentation. Throughout this presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged. They can be submitted at any time using the Q&A tab on the right-hand corner of your screen. Just please simply type in your question at any time and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company will review all questions submitted today, and we'll publish those responses on the Investor Meet Company dashboard and send you an email when they're ready for your review. I'd also like to remind you that this presentation is being recorded. Before we begin, we would like to submit the following poll, and I'm sure the company will be grateful for your response. And I'd now like to hand over to Ian McDonough, CEO from Blackbird. Good morning.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you very much. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking you through the recent fundraise that we just announced yesterday morning, where we have raised approximately £8 million from the AIM market from institutions and investors to monetize our IP. And the title of this fundraise is really called Powered by Blackbird, Monetization of the IP. Now, the reason for that is that the core business that sells our product, our Blackbird platform, into the media and entertainment professional video content creation space, long-winded way of saying that media entertainment, M&E, that's our core business. We will get to profitability in that business. We have enough resources in the bank. And we are growing at a rate with an A-list customer base and a very good reputation that we will reach profitability in that core business. This fundraise is about expanding into new markets. So this is about staying close to our IP while utilizing it and leveraging it into new markets that are exciting, growing fast, and using video. So without further ado, I'm going to talk you through very much the presentation that we gave to the investor community last week. So who we are and what we do, we're an AIM listed company. We're Blackbird. We also have a cross trade on the OTCQX market in the US, which is very new and is gaining some levels of interest over there. We will be promoting that more in the next year, presumably we can travel to the US. That is, when we drew this presentation up, we were at just over 100 million market cap, which is a little bit under that now, but it's there and thereabouts. And we are a company where all the board are investors in the business. All the board are shareholders. And as a reminder, Stephen, who's on the call with me today, is around a 17.5% shareholder now. And my family and I are just 7.5% shareholders. We participated in this round. Actually, a number of directors did participate in this round to the tune of around £400,000. So we are at our heart an IP company, and that IP is one of the real triggers for why we went out for this raise today. We're not just a product company. We have at the heart of our company 16 patents, including those that are pending. We're looking to grow that over the next 12 months. But those patents have now got a really interesting first data point. In September this year, we announced our first major contract for our product Powered by Blackbird. Powered by Blackbird is not our core product. Powered by Blackbird is the underlying technology that encompasses a lot of the patents and other technology besides, that allows company to do certain things. And the company in question is going to build a cloud video editing platform on top of Blackbird technology and roll that out to the broadcast industry around the world. Very exciting. And actually the confidence it gives our company and also the industry as a whole, and we don't just mean the media entertainment sector, but also the video world as a whole, the confidence to look at Powered by Blackbird as a way to migrate their companies to cloud. I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes later. Now, we currently work in this content creation and distribution space. We're a carbon reducing technology. We put a paper out in early 2021, around that. It was ratified by a third party called Green Element, who demonstrated that Blackbird can be up to 91% more carbon efficient than our peers in the video editing market. That is something that has got us an awful lot of attention over the last few months, and something that we'll be building on in months to come. We also offer, that actually allowed us to win from the London Stock Exchange the Green Economy Mark. The Green Economy Mark is given out to companies where more than 50% of their activities is related to reducing carbon. As 100% of our activities are related to reducing carbon, then we were good candidates for that. Only 5% of the London Stock Exchange currently has the green economy mark out of the 2,500 companies that are listed. We also offer freedom and resilience to the customers and to the end users that we work with. So I started with this company in late 2017. At the time, and it's no exaggeration, we were doing £200 deals into the London Soho post-production market. We've recently just signed our first €2 million deal. So I hope you would see that in taking a project tool from a very small part of the post-production world into a global SaaS enterprise platform, we are certainly starting to deliver. We have a tier 1 client base that includes the NHL, the NFL, the US State Department. It includes Univision, CBS, A&E Networks, and many others. It's a very enviable client base, and they're the most exacting clients. So they do know that they've got a very powerful and precise product. Our revenues is about 2.3x from when I started. Prepared to see more growth in that in the coming months. And we've created quite a lot of shareholder value. As I say, this is our primary interest to us because we're all shareholders ourselves. But it's around a 10 to 12x of shareholder value. And most interestingly, over the last few months, I think we've become a technology licensor. Technology licensor means that we can license our core tech to companies that are building cloud video platforms. And the most interesting point about that, as it relates to this presentation, is it doesn't just have to be in media and entertainment. In our space, though, we are recently crowned Best Tech Company 2021 by SportsPro, who are a very well-known body within the industry. That's after last year being awarded the Best Emerging Tech Company of 2020. So as you can see, our reputation is in very good shape as we move into new markets. Now, this chart attempts to illustrate how the development of the technology in those last 4 years has led to an ever-increasing opportunity in the commercial space. So back in 2018, when I just started, we launched our new codec, Blackbird 9, which was much higher quality and much lower data rate in order to make it much more efficient to use Blackbird. That was followed up in 2019 by the rollout of our JavaScript product. And JavaScript allows everything now to be done in a browser, which means it's ultimately scalable. Basically, anyone who has a browser can then just log onto Blackbird. And that really allows a much larger scale of customer. That actually drove the Town News expansion. Following that, we innovated by having a SOC 2 certification in 2020 ratified, and we've just been we were just going through our latest renewal of that. That really allows us to talk to the very biggest and the very best in media entertainment, because they can feel secure around the cybersecurity of the company and the processes around that. In 2021, we've started to open up the APIs, and they're progressing at pace. The APIs have allowed us to do deals such as the EVS OEM, which was the largest sporting event the world saw this last summer. For reasons of confidentiality and commercial interest, I'm not allowed to say which ones they are, but it was a very large event. We've also now increased our Town News numbers up to 80 stations. We just recently announced that. So this is obviously a moving story. And we also closed a deal recently with Eurovision Sport, and the APIs have allowed us to do that. Eurovision is a name synonymous, of course, with a song contest. This was not about the song contest. Eurovision is also the production arm of the EBU, which is the European Broadcast Union, with 115 different member organizations across 50 plus countries. Now, Eurovision Sport produces sport in 17 different disciplines, including cycling, athletics, swimming, etc., all centrally for those 115 different member organizations to access, edit, and publish from. Blackbird is now at the heart of that operation. We did the first deal back in September, and we're already being talked about expanding those services into new entities. So this is a growth story, I think, that can be looked at in the same way that the Town News story is. So we'll start small and land and expand. The largest company that we mentioned on here, we can't mention, but it's a global broadcast company. It is now taking our our core patents and our core technology and building their own platform on the top of it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the trigger for this raise. What is Powered by Blackbird? What is it doing for the customers, or potentially doing for the customers that we're talking to? Well, on the left-hand side here, there are a number of features that it includes, like codecs and libraries and rendering and publishing and compression. But what it really does, what I think is interesting for this audience, is that it allows companies to migrate from CapEx models, hardware models, into SaaS models, into cloud models. And it can do that efficiently, cost efficiently, speed efficiently, time efficiently, bandwidth efficiently, hardware efficiently, in a resilient way that can also lead to carbon reduction as well. So as an added bonus. So that is why companies are interested to talk to us. That is why we have quite a number of conversations ongoing after the launch of Powered by Blackbird, because moving workflows to the cloud is really the way that all video companies are going. And it's, again, not just media and entertainment. So this, similar to the chart I showed you a couple of slides ago, this is a chart, again, over time, which shows how our approach to the market has related to the tech advancements. So forget the £200 deals I mentioned at the beginning. The first real deals that I started signing were around infrastructure deals. So we mentioned some of these, like CBS Sports and A&E. That will all continue. We're not going to stop doing that. They're fantastic deals to be associated with. It's great to be at the very front edge and at the coalface of major media infrastructure. But we also layered onto that OEM partnerships through the likes of Town News, Tata, EVS, etc., where we can scale through using other companies' tech stacks, being part of other companies' tech stacks and sales teams. The APIs have come on top of that, which allowed us to do the likes of Eurovision and these big sporting events, where lots of international media owners or rights owners can log into Blackbird as a hub. The keyword there is hub, to allow for the Blackbird magic to take place. And then Powered by Blackbird is the very latest iteration of that. So it's an advancement again. This raise is not about any of that. This raise is about these 3 blocks on the top, which were on new areas close to our IP that have significantly growing markets that we want to approach and tackle, address. The first of these is the player market, is the video distribution market. Our player, which some of you might have seen on a previous roadshow a couple of years ago, has some unique aspects to it that are patented again, that allow for content to be distributed in a very efficient, very fast way, but also in a way that allows for a huge amount of data to be recorded and noted. So that means every access, every view, every share, every reshare, every clip and share, right up to the millionth or the billionth share, can be recorded at source, because the content is never moving. And that also allows for some very exciting, we believe, monetization possibilities through the player. The other 2 areas that we're going to be looking at are the creator space and the enterprise space. The creator space, I have a slide on, so I won't dwell on it here. But the enterprise space is probably a little bit further out, but this includes everything from defense to security, surveillance, aerospace, medical, you name it. Anybody that is using video as a means for their business rather than as a product of their business, we would encapsulate in the enterprise space. Now, just to hammer these points home, really, we've drawn up this kind of dartboard-like approach to show where we're currently focusing on and where future opportunities are. If you look at that yellow circle in the middle, that is the Blackbird IP, the 16 patents today that will increase. And as you move away from the IP, you can see how we've got certain ways that we can go. Within this is all media and entertainment. So we built our Blackbird platform, which is growing very nicely and has great reputation. As we move out of that, away further from the IP, we will move into public cloud, and that public cloud allows us to do quite a few different things. First of all, it allows us to scale in an infinite way as our customers get bigger and bigger. It also allows us to create a marketplace product which allows for self-service for the long tail of media and entertainment. So these are going to be increasing our addressable market, and also allowing for a potential realization of becoming a standard within the industry. Now, as you move further from that, a lot of the companies in our sector are starting to roll up. What does roll up mean? Well, it means buying companies that are adjacent to you. So potentially in our case, it would be potentially buying asset management or graphics or storage or those kind of things. We don't see that as the most logical route for Blackbird at this point. We think that is something that takes us away from our IP and doesn't really build on what is different about us as a company. What we would prefer to do is move into the other areas of video that are the video world that are much closer to our IP. So that is really building on the Powered by Blackbird model to approach distribution, the creator space, the enterprise space, and we like to move across this dartboard in a clockwise manner. So if you see in that orange circle, you can see distribution, creator, enterprise, etc. On top of that, then you've got the likes of AI integration or marketplace, where we're a hub, OEM, again, where we're a hub, and personalization, where our player has again some unique patented aspects of it that can drive personalized video. If you move then out of the circle to the red circle from that angle, then I think the areas there become really more exciting than a roll-up. You get into the areas of data, either data compression, because that's what the software does, or in terms of sitting on an awful lot of data from various sources that will allow for big data analysis. So we're not going to get into that at this stage. We're going to really focus on the inner circles at this stage, but just shows you the strategic opportunities that are in play for Blackbird as we grow. Now, Stephen's going to take you into take you to his next slide. This is not the inner workings of Stephen Streeter's mind, but I think that he will be able to simplify this a little bit with some great commentary and explain.
Yes, thank you. We do have a version that builds, but I think this has got everything here we need to know. So I'll start with the capabilities, which are the big circles and ovals at the back. So that's things like capture, content creation. So those are things that we use every day in our professional product. And distribution and AI and Blackbird 10 are related features. And the important point about this is that content creation is not the biggest market that our technology can be used for. Distribution is by far the biggest market. And inside that, you have the specializations. And the one I'd like to draw your attention to is the player. So we have a player, it's used every day by our professionals, and they use it for things like review and approval. Some of our clients have actually made their own B2B websites. So A&E has showed one in their webinar earlier this year. But of course, it's all B2B. They only have a few viewers, which is sort of slightly misses the point of the technology in the sense that it's very applicable to a large audience. So what we'd like to do is to extend that. We would like to own the viewers. We'd like to extend it outside just the content creation side, have access to the data, because the players, some of you may know, is actually a program. So it's not just playing back video. It can do anything. It can monitor what people watch, what they like, what they don't like. It also allows clipping and sharing. And if you go on to the monetization step, this is the next big step for us. We're going to add monetization into the player. So it's part of the player. So anyone who uses our player will be able to monetize their content through the player, which will again connect us to the viewers and all the big data analytics. So with that taster of our player strategy, I'll hand you back to Ian, and he'll talk about the markets that could be useful for.
Thank you, Stephen. So
sorry.
Prior to us, yeah, thanks. So prior to us coming out on the road this time to the investors, we were working and doing some research using our existing resources into looking at markets that are quite close to what we do, but not exactly the same. And one of the most exciting areas of that is the creator economy. The creator economy is not the consumer world. It is actually independent businesses and self-employed creators who are out there to make money from video, and they're doing that on some very well-known platforms at the moment that you will know, like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and others. It's currently valued at around $104 billion a year, this market, and is growing very, very quickly. It's growing at the same trajectory as the gig economy, which has a value in the trillions. So it is a huge market. There are currently around 50 million creators in the world today, and that again is growing. And our opportunity is based around the fact that currently they have quite a lot of issues. They have an inefficiency in terms of video creation, which we know from work we do in the professional space that the Blackbird can certainly help and in many ways solve. Video distribution is currently very cumbersome, labor intensive, and again, we think we can solve and help there. And maybe the most exciting, or maybe the most significant area where I think we can help is in currently creator monetization is very low. And if you think that around 30% of US school children today want to leave school and become creators, and yet only 2.5% of creators are currently making more than the US poverty line of $12,000 a year, then there's a huge disparity between desire and reward. And we believe that we can, without getting into too much detail here, we believe we can help with that. So we all know those big names like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, but there are a whole new genre and generation of new platforms that are up and coming in this area. We've just picked out picked out 3 here to give an example of where we see how we see this market growing. Substack is a platform mainly for journalists at this stage, but also potentially moving into video creation. Actually used by Dominic Cummings at this stage in the UK, probably the most well-known person that's using that platform. But they allow content creators, i.e., journalists, to be in touch directly with end customers and be able to monetize their content that way. Patreon is similar, but mainly in the video world. Canva is a platform that started off in template design, but is fast moving into video content creation as well. So these are a selection of companies that could potentially be customers for us in the powered by Blackbird model. But there are others. We know that Adobe is moving into this space more and more. Clipchamp has just been acquired by Microsoft. And if you read an article about us recently, where we were described, Blackbird was described as the top of the pyramid in terms of cloud video content creation. The journalist in that article, Jan Ozer, talked about a soup of platforms that are up and coming in the creator space that are helping to try and make content creation and distribution more consumer centric, more creator centric. So we believe there's a big opportunity for us here, and this raise is very much about powering us into that direction. Why do we think we will be good in this direction? Well, we have a great reputation. We have customers of the most exacting nature in the professional video market. Our expertise is also built upon patents. We currently have 16, but we will be increasing that. In fact, the goal is going to be to try and double that over the next couple of years in terms of number of patents. We have very compelling carbon reduction technology, which we believe is going to be ever more important as we roll into other areas that aren't just media and entertainment, especially. And our technology out of the box allows us to monetize our customers' revenue models in many ways, other than just in editing. So Stephen's referred to the player revenue share. It could be the data revenue share. It could be marketplace commission. It could be taking royalties from being an OEM ecosystem, or indeed our core market of editing, and in fact probably a number of others as well. But these are potential, because we're a hub, because we have all this data, potentially have this data, and we have this functionality in the cloud. We can monetize for our customers in various different ways. So, recap. This is not about the current business. The current business will get to profitability within its current resources. This is about building in new resources to address different markets, namely the video distribution market through the player, the creator economy, and the enterprise video market. We signaled last week that we were looking to raise up to £10 million. In fact, we could easily have taken £10 million at various rates. These things are always a trade-off. We raised the money at 28 pence, which we think is a very decent number. It puts us just under the 100 mil market cap, and is exactly double what we raised at in 2019. So we think fantastic growth of market cap since 2019. I think all investors are very happy with that. And as I say, this is always a balance. Do we take a little bit more less money? Well, we thought that 8 million is going to actually power us into the areas that we need, and it's going to free up funds in the core business too. What will those funds be used upon? Certainly developing the team more, adding chief product officer, and adding product team in these new areas of Power by Blackbird. It will be increasing the development team by at least 50%, and it will be also increasing business development, potentially, well, not potentially, particularly in the US, where much of this activity is going to take place. So that's all on team. However, we also want to build out our patent portfolio, so there'll be money going into that. We'll also be working, well, the majority of the money actually will be going into prototyping and market testing. What we think we can deliver through Power by Blackbird, we feel could be global phenomena, and therefore we want to make sure these products are developed and market tested to the nth degree to make sure that they are indeed roadworthy. Why now? Well, we come to you today as Best Tech Company 2021, as talked about by SportsPro, as Worldwide SportsPro. We've won numerous other awards this year, which are almost too many to mention, so I'm not going to mention them. So we've got a great reputation in the market. We've got an A-list client base. We've got proven IP applicability through this recent announcement with this broadcast company, this global broadcast company. And we have the potential to go into markets that are growing exponentially, that have a requirement, have a need, or have an evident need for the technology that we have. So we think this is an excellent opportunity we thought it was, and we're delighted, very excited to raise money at a very attractive valuation in order to move into markets that are close to our IP, that are growing exponentially. So thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. We are now able to take any questions that you might have around this.
That's great, Ian, Stephen. Thank you very much indeed for updating investors this morning. Can I please ask investors to continue to submit your questions using the Q&A tab situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. But just while the guys take a few moments to review investor questions submitted already, I'd like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your Investor Meet Company dashboard. I'd also like to remind you finally that your feedback is important to the company, and immediately after this presentation has ended, we'll redirect you for the opportunity to provide feedback in order that the company can really better understand your views and expectations. Ian, we did receive a couple of questions before today's event, and perhaps I could start off before turning to the live questions with these. So the first one is as follows. Are we going to have any further news before Christmas about the public cloud announcement that was due before the end of the year?
Thank you, Mark. Public cloud is high on our list of priorities, and we're making advancements there. Sometimes things are just not always in our direct control and in the control of a third party. So it would be a little bit irresponsible to say that yes and no, it's going to happen, but it's certainly very high on our priority list. I couldn't give an exact date at this stage.
Thank you very much, Ian. And then also, are you still expecting a sharp increase in revenues next year through the licensing agreements?
Licensing agreements are very much a focus. We believe through licensing agreements we can expand very fast, very quickly. The licensing agreements that we have announced took around 12 months to negotiate and close. Much of that was around the fact that the company in question went away for about 6 months to make sure that we really were the best and the only people that could do this. So I think that the next sales cycles for the next products that we're already in conversation will be significantly shorter. And so the quick answer to your question is yes, I believe there will be sharp increase in revenue around it. But yeah, I haven't got a crystal ball, but I think in terms of that, yeah, I think there will be.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to all the investors that have taken time to both pre-submit questions and, of course, Ian, you'll see there's a number of questions in the live chat. Would you mind, could I just hand back to you? Could you read out the question and give a response, of course, where it's appropriate to do so?
Absolutely. So William S. has said, can you talk a little bit about your competitors? Why would the big tech companies not outgun you? I'm sure Stephen's got an answer to this one. I'll just answer off the big tech companies aren't generally innovators. Big tech companies are often acquirers of technology, and we've got a licensed product out there now, which means that these big tech companies can license us. So I think innovation often comes from light, agile companies such as ourselves that can then license into big tech companies. Stephen, I'm not too sure if you want to pick that one up.
Yeah, I'll just mention one thing. I mean, the thing about these new markets is they're moving very quickly, and time is one of the most important things. And if you're a big company and you have to try and create something basically from scratch, it's just going to be too slow and too late. And the thing about big companies is they have money, and it's much easier for them to buy or license existing solutions. So I think, well, we'll see what they do, but in our historical experience, the companies that have tried to copy us have not managed to catch up. We're just too far ahead. It's much easier just to license things, as we have done recently with this broadcast technology supplier.
We have a number of questions based around the details of the placing and the people that have participated, which I am unable to answer at this stage until the process is complete. But we will be publishing that information when we're allowed to. So other than the fact that you will know that the board have, then I think unfortunately you have to be a little bit patient on that until the process has been played out. Does the license, so a question from Mark K, does the licensee of the September 2021 already have a video editing product? So the company in question, without wanting to give too much away, is a very well-known name in the broadcast services area, and so would always have been employed in some way around this. But it's yeah, I don't want to give too much, Mark, here, because otherwise it starts to lead to the door of somebody, and I think that would be unwise at this stage. So yes, in some respects they did, but they're a very well-known name in the industry. Question maybe for Steve, who's sitting next to me, as you can just see a glimpse of Steve.
So it says, will the financial statements clearly separate out Blackbird's ventures into new markets to allow investors to gauge the relative success of the placing? Yes, of course, we will. We separate that out from the core business, so you'll have full transparency in that area.
Okay.
And then we've got one from Mark R. The previous guidance that the company will not need to raise new funds prior to reaching break-even is no longer relevant. Can the board therefore consider releasing more specific guidance regarding the timeframe hitting break-even? We can't within our current existing business. The reason for that, as we've said to you beforehand, is because our revenue stream is very lumpy. You saw from the chart that Ian presented earlier, a couple of months ago, we did our largest ever deal by a factor of 2. So it's very difficult for us to forecast, our revenues at this stage. But hopefully with a few more of these clients on board and everything, it'll become much easier for us to do that over the coming years.
Yeah, I mean, one successful deal for Power by Blackbird in the next 6 months could take us there. But as I said before, it took 12 months to close the first one. So we just don't want to forecast it. We can forecast it on one day and the next day we close the deal, or vice versa. Then it won't be great for investors and won't be great for us. So we're working as hard as we can to get those deals closed as quickly as possible to smooth out that lumpiness. Okay, so for the licensing project, what percentage of the R&D team is assigned to that at its peak and Q2? Is there a penalty clause for late delivery? There's quite a lot of confidential information in that question, I'm afraid, Chris. But Stephen, do you want to maybe just talk a little bit about resources there?
Yes, I mean, it's obviously significant, but not exclusive for our team. A lot of the people contribute to particular parts of the project. I wouldn't want to quantify it at this stage. And obviously the contractual clauses are confidential too.
Yeah. So question from Dan S. Why was the approximately £5 million existing cash not sufficient to make a material expansion now and then follow with a placing in 2022 once the progress in deals and the share price had been made? Great question, Dan. Listen, everything's a judgment call, and we felt that first of all, the trigger point of having the first licensing deal in the market was important and relevant. We felt that the exponential growth and dynamism of the creator space was important. We felt the general health of the global economy was important. number of different things that I think that played into a decision. I think we got the judgment call right. Time will, of course, always be the judge. We raised it at a fabulous valuation, and I think that's super. Really helps to underpin the value that we've currently got. I think overall, time will tell whether we've made the right judgment, but I strongly believe that we have. Thank you. Okay, so William S. Thank you. Can you talk about how the companies such as yours are valued? We can talk about examples in the space. One example that happened fairly recently, actually around the time that we announced this deal, was around Adobe's acquisition of Frame.io. Frame.io was acquired at $1.25 billion. They have revenues at around $20 million, a US company, so fairly small US company, but quite a substantial multiple. And the reason for that is that Frame are helping Adobe, the behemoth that is Adobe, move their platform from being an on-prem platform into a cloud platform, bring from a hardware platform into a SaaS platform, etc. That is exactly what we're doing for the company in question that we've not mentioned the name of, and what we can do for others. So I can't tell you exactly why it's valued at that level, but I can tell you that that's what it's valued at. I hope that helps. Question from Colin W. Is a licensing model at odds with an acquisition exit? I think I can only imagine that most corporates will be reluctant to build Power by Blackbird as the core offering if there is a risk that a major player buys into Blackbird to gain exclusivity and so rescind the license. Well, yeah, maybe, Colin. It didn't do any harm, I have to say. They certainly have that sort of model. It's a different angle than building a platform of our own, but it's a model that plays very much to our strengths, and really builds upon the fantastic work that's been done over a number of years here at Blackbird, and will continue to be done. So I don't believe it does, and certainly other companies, as I just mentioned, have proven that too. Philip P. Are you planning to have a high-profile business partner in the US to help you gain market penetration there? Well, we have quite a number of high-profile business partners in the US, and we will continue to bring on high-profile partners too. We are a 30-person company, out of Wimbledon. Of course, it helps to align with the very biggest and the best in the industry. Don't have any definite plans I can announce to you there, Philip, but we have an excellent and growing reputation for our tech in the US, and people are attracted to us on an almost daily basis, and so I think that's absolutely in the frame. Yes. Why is Frame.io valued at 1.2 billion and Bird at under 100 million? Well, that's great. I'm glad that someone's now saying we're valued too low, because obviously we have a number of people saying that we're valued too high. So yeah, Paul, watch this space. Hopefully, well, this is the route to the unicorn. I prefer to have that one thrown back at me a number of times, as I know you guys like to. This is our route to growing to that level. Jeremy asks, can you say who else took a plate? No, I can't. Sorry, at this point, Jeremy, I'm sorry. Until the process is complete, I'm not able to say that. Right, just looking. Will the new funding help to add new products or extend existing ones, or both? Very good question, Mark. Definitely both. By staying close to our IP, we can have the chief product officer, who I mentioned will be on our critical path of recruitment, will help us to build a portfolio of products that are built on our IP, but are in different flavors for different industries. Different industries will have different requirements from the IP. We know very well what the requirements are in professional media and entertainment. Things like SOC 2, for instance, are hugely important to the business here, but there will be different aspects of that as we move into different areas. Question from Graham E. I submitted a question yesterday. At the last presentation, you said contracts have been signed for 1, 2, or 3 years. Are any of these coming up for renewal? Oh, just lost it. Renewal, and are you confident of repeat business? Well, Graham, I think the quickest way to answer that is that our churn rate is very low. We very rarely lose contracts unless someone's business model has proven to rapidly change, like they've suddenly outsourced all their production, or indeed that they've actually gone out of business or something like that. So we very rarely lose any contracts, but we don't announce renewals. So you can assume that if it's not announced, that generally it's been rolled over.
Yeah, we're starting to give you a monthly recurring revenue figure, so that you'll be able to see that. So that was just under 1.8 million at the end of June, and yeah, it'll be growing. On top of that, you will have one-off revenues, such as from the games, the winter games that are going to take place next year, and such as from our first licensing deal that we gave guidance for. So for next year, there will be a one-off dev fee of 540,000 euros as well.
Question from Luca P. Good morning. Given the new opportunity seems to be very US focused, are you excluding any M&A to speed up the process of creating a dedicated team there? I mean, we don't have limited thinking here, so nothing is excluded, Luca. It's not on the critical path for us because we see that the applicability of the IP is our calling card rather than merely buying a sales team. We talked a little bit about in our own space about roll up, which is effectively a sort of M&A activity, not being our desired route at this stage. I think leveraging through partnerships, integrations, OEM, and powered by Blackbird is our route. So I don't think we need a particularly large sales team because we're talking at a very senior levels to some of the biggest companies in the world. It doesn't need to be a cost of thousands. It can be just a few very highly skilled, influential people. Right. I think that is more or less the questions that we're able to answer.
That's great, Ian. And of course, what we'll do is we'll supply any further questions that may come in from investors and give those to you for your review. And of course, we'll publish all responses to the Q&A on the Investor Meet Company website.
Yeah.
Perhaps, is there another one?
Sorry, Mark, there's a couple more just come in. I don't know if it's got time, we can answer them. I just noticed one here. Okay, how is Tata going? It wasn't on the list of indicative deal sizes. Correct. It probably should have been, and it is going well. It has an air of confidentiality around it as well at Tata's behest, but it's growing and it is a key OEM for us. Is the EVS/Winter Games event meant that all broadcasters will have access to get to the video stream, or is it simply an optional extra for them? The business model is not something I can go into in detail, but it will be about allowing international broadcasters, international rights holders to access the Blackbird versions of the video streams as they come in, and access, edit, clip, and publish from there. Yes. From Dan S, why are you meeting more US investors in January 22? Is this to seek further funding? This is to publicize our OTCQX listing, Dan. Somebody asked earlier why we're not valued higher. Well, it is about getting the word out there often, and I am very happy to do that on behalf of the company, and hopefully meet some investors face to face. We have an incredibly exciting story to tell, and over the last 2 years, given the increase in our profile, it's been a little frustrating that we can't actually travel directly to meet investors. Likewise, it's been a little bit frustrating we weren't able to go to IBC this year, or indeed NAB, as Tech Company of the Year. But hey, this is the way the world works. It's how it is, and we have to make the very best of it. So we are if we can take the opportunity to travel to the US, I certainly will do.
Yeah, and going back to the original idea of having that cross trade on OTCQX, it was to increase the liquidity in the stock by getting more interest in the US. So yeah, we need to promote that story.
I think that completes the questions as I can see them.
That's great. Thank you very much, Ian, Steve, and Stephen, for updating investors. I know investor feedback is important to you guys, and I will shortly redirect investors to provide you with their thoughts and expectations. But I guess before doing so, if I may, just hand back to you for a few closing comments.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Well, listen, this is an incredibly exciting period for the company as we move forward from here. We're delighted to have gained the confidence of investors and institutions from AIM market, who've really seen the potential of what we can offer in markets that don't necessarily mean that the media entertainment, professional video content creation, but actually new markets that are close to our IP. So hugely exciting, and we look forward to updating you shortly. Thank you very much.
That's great. Ian, Steve, Stephen, thank you once again for updating investors this morning. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as we'll now automatically redirect you for the opportunity to provide feedback in order that the company can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Blackbird PLC, would like to thank you very much for attending today's presentation. That now concludes today's session. Good morning to you all.